Start with one that's getting major Father's Day gift Facebook ad energy. Their multifunction flashlight, which, like any half-decent dad product, can do 100 things in one. So, 1000 lumen main light, which is not breaking any records, but then you can zoom. So I can go from floodlight, oh my goodness, to spotlight. That actually massively increases the brightness. There's a side light, which is 2 different levels of white to be able to see what you're doing, but then also it flashes in case you really screw up. So it flashes red for SOS, and then yellow, which is the best at being able to see through fog. There's even a seatbelt cutter for car-based emergencies. Right, seatbelt me. Sorry. This doesn't feel like it's gonna work. What the hell? That is super impressive. But here's what's really going to bring the dads to the yard. A window breaker. Yes, I bought a real car door just to test this. Cheaper than you'd expect, but so you push down onto the glass, and as soon as enough force is applied, oh my god! It effectively ejects a spring-loaded breaker into the glass, which shatters the whole thing. They've even added these little ridges on the light to finish off any of the glass that didn't shatter, but there isn't much. And then when you're completely done writing off your mate's Fiat 500, it's got a rotating magnet, so you can attach it to surfaces and then adjust the lighting angle while you pretend to look like you know how to fix a car. Honestly, considering this is a $30 product, this is already a Hall of Fame contender. 9.5 out of 10. Might as well just embrace the inner father at this point with the Xiaomi pressure washer. I will say, as far as pressure washers go, fairly smart looking, and it's cordless, so you don't need to plug it in, you just drop the nozzle into a bucket. So first you flick the nozzle to foam, and this is going to coat the whole thing in a layer of soap. One thing I'll say, the coverage is pretty immediate. And the spray. Pretty underwhelming compared to pressure washers that come with their own dedicated compressor units, but it's enough, it's working. And then if I specifically want a little bit more power for stubborn dirt, you can set the nozzle to a jet. Yeah, I mean, to be fair, what average user is going to need more power than that? It's even actually taking the glass out of the windows. So it's not quite pro equipment, but I would say it's everything that a non-pro needs in one sexy package. And just when you thought Xiaomi was done diversifying their portfolio, they also make a smart skipping rope, which uses 3 sets of magnetic Hall effect sensors in the handles to keep track of how many reps you've done, which is absolutely hilarious considering the Nintendo Switch 2 still doesn't have any. And again, incredibly affordable. This thing is $28, and it comes with both the cord for the traditional ankle smacking skipping experience. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ow! Also, it knows that I whipped myself, and it hasn't counted that last rep. Add insult to injury, why don't you? But then, to avoid that entirely, you could also use the thing cordless. I will say these little weights on the ends are doing a pretty good job of simulating the effect without simulating the pain. Let's not kid ourselves. Swinging a pretend jump rope is not going to win you Aura points. 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. And it says 49. So pretty accurate, but not spot on. And then it feeds that data and more to a Xiaomi fitness app. You get the standard stuff like calories, but then also crazy things like a chart that shows the cadence of your workout and your average and max jumps per minute. I don't know who's tracking their skips to that level, but the coolest thing about this for me is really the fact that it doesn't need the app. It's just a skipping rope, but better. Now, when I filmed that last Xiaomi Gadgets video, I fell unexpectedly in love with their motion sensing night light 2. I put them all over my house, and they're one of the best tech products I've ever bought. So, are the new night light 3s even better? The important thing to bear in mind here is this is $15. $15 gets you a light that can go pretty bright and extremely dim, has a magnet on the back to detach it and attach it, has both an ambient light and motion sensor baked in, so it only turns on when it is dark and you walk past. And now the difference between the 2 and the 3 is instead of AA batteries here, this is a rechargeable battery with USB-C charging that apparently lasts up to 8 months before you need to top it up. You know what as well? The 3s aren't quite as bright as the 2s. But I love this. I love that they fixed like the one remaining issue with these night lights, which is that the 2s used to shine directly at you. This is shielded, so you're only ever getting indirect light. It's just such a fuss-free gadget. Like the entire setup is just tap this to select between high and low brightness, use the slider to set it to auto, and then just stick it on your wall. Done. 9 out of 10. So far then, we've found that a lot of Xiaomi's niche products are extremely good. But for me, the question that is just as interesting is how good are their most popular ones? So this is their Smart Band 10, offering basically smartwatch functionality, but for $45. And then they also have their luxury variant, the Glimmer Edition, which is $95. So I've been wearing this $45 band for a few days now, at the same time as this $800 Apple Watch Ultra 3 that I just switched to because I keep breaking the normal Apple Watches.
That's its own story. But here's the thing, I am absolutely shocked by how comparable it is. Like, there shouldn't be a situation where you have to think about it when you're comparing a product that's a 10th of the price, or in this case, almost a 20th. But here, you actually do. And look at this. This is weather, this is calories, this is activity, this is step count. This is giving me all of the same information as my Apple Watch, and not in a cheap Chinese knockoff way that you might expect for the money. This is still a proper AMOLED display that runs at a smooth 60 frames per second. Then I thought, oh, well, you know, the step counting's gonna suck. But I've done multiple walks of 200 steps, and it's very consistently reporting between 200 and 205, which is as good as the Apple Watch. I've been using it for sleep too, which, by the way, is significantly more comfortable to wear for than any kind of Apple Watch. It's basically like wearing a bracelet. And again, the results it gives me are very aligned with what my Apple Health says and also what my bed's own tracking software says. The Apple Watch is way more of a smartphone in itself. It can run proper apps, it can reply to messages, but if you don't need that, which I come to realize I don't at all, then this Xiaomi has completely changed my mind on how much the average user should be spending to track their health. Because it still has like 150 different sport modes, still has the same water resistance as Apple, but also with a battery that lasts for 10 days, even with the display always on, compared to 1 and maybe 2 at a push. I think this Glimmer edition is very nice, but quite strange. It feels like a weird proposition to pay twice the price for nice materials on a product that's otherwise so laser focused on value. The base watch, even better than the flashlight. 10 out of 10. This streak of products has been suspiciously successful so far, which means statistically we're due a stinker. So is it going to be Xiaomi's desktop speaker, which is a fairly atypical product for a desk because it's actually a soundbar?
I guess there is one very immediate, obvious benefit. That looks so clean compared to having, say, 2 big bookshelf speakers on either side. It doesn't feel cheap either, and it's got this outrageously satisfying knob on the side, which you use to control volume, and you can see it being represented on this light bar at the bottom. It's meant to add vibes and pulse with the music, but I'm not really sure why they bothered, because it's so dim that you probably have to be working in pitch black to notice. Okay, I would say better than pretty much every laptop speaker, not quite as good as the best Bluetooth speakers for this price. The audio could be a little bit cleaner. It's definitely my least favorite product so far, but it's not bad, so 6.5.
Now, when it comes to the smartphone, the idea of carrying around earphones, or even a power bank, I would say, has become fairly normalized. But one thing that definitely hasn't caught on is the portable printer. So let's see if Xiaomi's fairly pricey Printer Pro can change that. So let's say I wanted to print a photo of this fine gentleman. Let's add a little tag at the bottom. Aaron in his dad mode era. Now we just print. It does actually take a decent amount of time, about a minute in total, because it's applying the dye 1 layer of color at a time. Ooh, for a printer this tiny, that is a blummin' impressive result. Feels like you can see each strand of hair, and the colors are spot on, not in the slightest bit faint. Although the downside of that is that each ink cartridge only lasts about 10 prints. Probably not. Is this the best one I've tried though? Yeah, I give it an 8 out of 10. But now we're entering the upper echelon. These are some of the most expensive products Xiaomi makes, starting with the $500 iPad mini. Sorry, Pad Mini. But yeah, it's pretty clear that this is Xiaomi's answer to Apple's fun-sized iPad. And to be fair, assuming we're comparing the 256 gig versions, it is $100 cheaper. Feels solid enough. Pretty high quality. It's got not 1, but 2 USB-C ports. So you could charge through this one while the other is connected up to a USB hub like this. There's this whole thing about how it's got an 8.8-inch design, but it's still exceptional for one-handed use. I mean, I've got massive hands, and even then, that hurts. I will say the AI features look very snazzy. Like I'm asking here for it to input a summarized workout plan to build 10 kilos of muscle in 3 weeks into my notepad. And it all feels very baked into the software as opposed to tacked on. There's also AI art where you can circle a sketch, then add in a bunch of extra criteria and it spawns an outcome. I don't think the results are anything that other companies aren't doing. I just like the UI. Apart from that, it seems absolutely fine at ignoring my thumb when it's resting on the screen. And I do like that they've gone for a chunky 7,500 mAh battery. Plus, this has a 120Hz display compared to the 60 on the iPad. Although I would say that's less of a Xiaomi W, more just an Apple L. So not blown away, but good mini tablet. I'd give it an 8. Now at $700, we're going weird again. So this pretty unusual looking thing is Xiaomi's absolutely jacked smart door lock and doorbell. And to put it together, we also got the Xiaomi brushless cordless drill, because I absolutely loved the electric screwdriver that we tested in the last Xiaomi video, and this feels like essentially just a juiced up version of that. Plus, it completes the Dad Infinity Gauntlet.
Well, this doesn't look like a Monsters Inc. movie. Oh, it's exactly what I thought it would be. Xiaomi's very minimal take on a tool that's often fairly unsightly, with all these magnetic drill bits included. I would say, just like the pressure washer, it's every bit as powerful as it needs to be for the drilling that I'd feel comfortable doing myself. The way I see it, anything that needs more is a commercial job anyway. But it's also a screwdriver. So the heads here are split into two sections. These ones are drill bits, and then these ones are driver bits. And you can just flick between the modes on the top of the thing like this. Okay, and now our lock is ready to go. I give this a very high 9. It's not like record-breaking power or a feature set that's never been seen before, but it's well-rounded, and it makes me feel like an attractive man. The one thing it doesn't have is a hot swappable battery, but me personally, I'd prefer this USB-C rechargeable situation. Okay, so you know how most smart locks have a way to get in and then a backup? The thing that's blowing my mind about this device is that it has 10 ways to unlock it. Because don't you just hate it when you leave your keys and your key card and your phone and your fingerprints and your face in the other jacket? So at the very basic level, emergency mechanical key. Then you've got passwords, so I can either tap on the screen here, 6 characters, tick. Yes, security is my passion. Or if I only want to give someone access one time, I can generate a password. 56902873. It works. That's so cool. Level up from that though, NFC. So you can either use a specific NFC card, which works, but I think absolutely ridiculous for a $700 lock, but the card is sold separately. But you can also NFC unlock with your Xiaomi watch or your Xiaomi band. It still works. I can really tell they wanted to hit 10 though by the fact that they've counted those as 2 separate points. Number 7 is, it's also app controlled, so I can just press and hold that from my phone wherever I am. I don't know how I feel about that one though. If someone gets your phone, do they also get your house? Now that leaves us with the most secure options, the biometrics. So first is fingerprint. Pretty fast. Facial recognition. Interesting.
One eternity later.
Oh, okay. Well, that took about 5 minutes. This doesn't work very well on my face. It's either the brown skin or the beard. But to be fair, I think number 10 makes up for it. Palm vein recognition. I feel like a Jedi. And because this is scanning literally inside of you, it's almost impossible to spoof. And then while all of this is happening on the outside, the person on the inside can actually see it via an interior display. I think this is so cool because there's one camera shooting down so you can see if anyone's left any packages, but also one shooting outwards so you can see the person's face. But you don't even need to see the person's face because this lock uses AI to learn the faces of people who repeatedly show up so it can recognize who is there and notify you on your phone. Stupidly expensive, stupidly extra, but at the same time, stupidly impressive. I'm gonna give it a 9. It even knows if someone tries to start unscrewing the thing and it enters an anti-tamper mode.
At $3,000 then, it's time for the big dog. No, literally, this is the Xiaomi Cyberdog 2, built to mimic the way that a Doberman looks and behaves. Oh my god. I feel like I'm giving birth to a little alien.
By the way, this thing was borderline impossible to buy. Like, first time we tried to get it, we actually bought it from a really shady AliExpress seller and got scammed. We lost $3,000 and the $1,000 that they charged us in customs fees. All of which to say, please be good. Feels a little strange trying to pair to a dog. Stand. Holy. So it's like very intuitive controls with the joysticks. What happens if I do wiggle? I don't want to see that again. Parkour flip. What are you doing? Where are you going? Woo! Holy shit! Those speakers. My heart. You always see this thing on Instagram Reels where people push their robots. Okay, from that it's fine. Oh no! I'm so sorry. What's heart? Oh my god. We can also change the walk to, let's do a trot. Oh my god, it's pacey. It's called gallop. This is so strange. Does it not really look like it's trying to break the floor? And now let's go into visor mode. So I can see through the cameras on the front of the dog, and you can't look up and down. It's actually not a great quality live stream, but apparently one of the main benefits of all these sensors and cameras is the ability to be able to follow you. I select an object on the screen, and now it's locked onto me. Wait, so if I get up and move, oh, it's searching for me. Hey, doggy. You can also speak to it. Tiedan, tiedan. Pasya. I've got the power. I mean, it's clearly niche. This is definitely the most intelligent robot I've ever tested. The thing's got 19 sensors inside of it. Depth sensors for measuring distances, and force sensors inside of the feet, which is how it maintains its balance. It's not designed for everyone, but it's kind of filling a Milo-shaped hole in my heart. 8 out of 10.